You are walking down the rain-soaked streets of downtown, each step a monumental effort as you wheel your oxygen tank beside you. At 53, you've built a $200 million empire, but the disease ravaging your lungs has reduced you to this: a dying man with all the money in the world and no one to share it with. Dr. Harrison's words echo in your mind like a death sentence. I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, but you have approximately 1 week left. 1 week. 7 days to contemplate a lifetime of regrets, of relationships sacrificed for financial success, of a family you never built while constructing your business empire. You pause before a toy store window, watching colorful dolls and remote control cars through the glass. You've never bought toys, there were never any children in your life to receive them. Your fortune means nothing against the crushing loneliness that has been your only companion for decades. That's when you hear it, soft sobbing cutting through the March drizzle. You turn and see her, a small figure huddled near a lamppost, no more than 7 years old. She's wearing a threadbare coat and sneakers so worn they barely protect her feet from the wet pavement. Her auburn hair is matted from the rain, and tears streak down her pale cheeks. You watch as passers-by hurry past her. An elegant woman with designer shopping bags mutters something about street children and quickens her pace. A businessman checks his watch and walks on, treating child poverty like just another obstacle in his daily routine. The girl looks up as you approach, her green eyes large and expressive against her thin face. She studies you for a moment as if gauging whether you'll be another person to ignore her or shoo her away. "Mister," she says in a trembling voice, wiping her nose on her coat sleeve, "could you get me something to eat, please? I haven't eaten since yesterday." You feel something tighten in your chest. It's not just her hunger that touches you, but the dignity with which she asks. She doesn't beg or whine. She simply requests with the politeness someone taught her in her short life. You kneel slowly, bringing yourself to her eye level. The oxygen tank hisses softly as it touches the wet ground. For an instant you see your own childhood reflected in those eyes. The hunger, the loneliness you knew before hardening your heart and vowing never to be vulnerable again. "What's your name?" you ask, your voice softer than it's been in years. "Isabella," she replies, wiping away more tears. "My grandma called me Isabella. She died last month and I don't have anyone else." Her words hit you like a physical blow. Here you are, lamenting your own loneliness while a 7-year-old child faces the world utterly alone. Suddenly a question forms in your mind, a question that surprises even you. "Isabella," you say, the words tumbling out before you fully processed them. "Would you like to be my daughter?" The girl blinks several times as if unsure she heard correctly. You can't believe what you just asked either. In your entire life, you've never shown interest in fatherhood, always considering children an impediment to your professional goals. "Really?" Isabella whispers, her eyes filling with a light you haven't seen since she started speaking. "Really?" you confirm, surprised by the conviction in your own voice. Isabella looks at you for a long moment, as if trying to decipher whether this is real or just another cruel dream. Then, with tears streaming down her face, different tears now, she nods vigorously. "Can I give you a hug?" "Daddy?" You feel your heart race in a way it hasn't for decades. Isabella's hug is like sunshine breaking through decades of emotional winter. You feel her thin arms wrap around your neck, and for a moment you completely forget about the oxygen tank, the illness, the death sentence you carry. There's only this small child who just called you Daddy, and the strange, wonderful feeling of being needed by someone. "Let's get out of this rain," you say gently, helping Isabella to her feet. "You must be cold." Isabella nods, shivering slightly. You take off your Italian wool coat, which cost more than many people earn in a month, and wrap it around her. Small shoulders. The coat is enormous on her, almost touching the ground, but Isabella pulls it tighter around herself, inhaling the scent of expensive cologne and cleanliness. "Where are we going?" she asks, walking beside you, taking small steps to match your slow pace. "Home," you reply. And as you say the words, you realize that for the first time in decades, your empty mansion might actually become a home. The taxi ride is a revelation for Isabella. She touches the leather upholstery reverently, watches the power windows go up and down as if by magic. You observe her every reaction, feeling a tenderness you didn't know still existed within you. "Daddy," Isabella says timidly during the ride. Your heart skips a beat. You're still not used to that word being directed at you. "Can I really live with you? It's not just for today, is it?" You swallow hard. How can you explain to a 7-year-old that you only have a week to live? How can you say you're offering temporary refuge not by choice but by fate's cruel limitation? "You'll live with me for as long as we can be together," you say, choosing your words carefully. "And I promise that while we're together, you'll never go hungry or sleep on the streets again." Isabella nods solemnly, as if understanding there are layers of meaning in those words she can't yet grasp. Your mansion stands in the city's most exclusive neighborhood, an imposing structure with perfectly manicured lawns and a marble fountain at the entrance. Isabella gets out of the taxi and stands still, looking up with her mouth slightly agape. "Is this where you live?" she asks, incredulous. "This is where we live," you correct, feeling unexpected satisfaction at her amazement. Margaret, your housekeeper, of 15 years, opens the door with her usual efficiency, but stops dead upon seeing you accompanied by a ragged child. "Mr. Williams," she says, confused. "Has something happened?" "Margaret, this is Isabella," you say, placing a protective hand on the girl's shoulder. "She's my daughter, and from today, she'll be living with us." Margaret blinks several times, clearly processing the information. In 15 years working for you, she's never seen any sign of your interest in children or family, but something in your tone and the way you look at the girl makes her simply nod. "Of course, sir. I'll prepare one of the guest rooms." "The blue room," you specify. "The one overlooking the garden." Isabella follows you through the entrance hall, her wide eyes taking in every detail. The crystal chandelier, the marble staircase, the paintings on the walls. Everything is bigger, brighter, and cleaner than any place she's ever been. "Are you hungry?" you ask. Isabella nods shyly. You head to the kitchen, and for the first time in years, personally open the refrigerator. You don't know how to cook. You've always had staff for that, but you find ingredients for a simple sandwich. As you awkwardly prepare the snack, Isabella sits on a high stool at the counter, swinging her little legs that don't reach the floor. "Daddy," she says again. That word. That makes your heart race. "Why did you choose me? There were other kids on the street." You stop slicing the tomato and look at her. How can you explain it wasn't a rational choice, but something that sprang from the deepest part of your soul? How to say that, in the moment, you saw her? You recognized your own loneliness reflected in those eyes? Sometimes, you say slowly, people find each other exactly when they need each other the most. Isabella considers this answer with adult-like seriousness. "I prayed for Grandma to send someone to take care of me," she says. "I think she sent you." You feel a strange emotion welling in your throat. You don't believe in prayer, divine intervention, or anything that can't be quantified on financial spreadsheets. But looking at Isabella with her eyes full of simple faith and gratitude, you begin to question your atheistic certainties. The sandwich is ready, lopsided and unevenly layered, but made with love. Isabella receives it as if it were the most precious meal in the world, eating slowly, savoring every bite. "Is it good?" you ask, anxious. "It's the best sandwich I've ever had in my life," Isabella replies sincerely. In that moment you understand something fundamental. Maybe it isn't too late to learn how to be a father. Isabella's first night in the mansion is a revelation for both of you. You've asked Margaret to prepare the blue room with the finest linens, but when you go to check if the girl is settled, you find her sitting in the center of the king-size bed, looking diminutive amidst so much luxury. "Can't sleep?" you ask, leaning against the door frame with the oxygen tank beside you. Isabella shakes her head, looking around the room with a mixture of awe and insecurity. It's too big, she whispers, and too quiet. On the street there was always noise. You understand immediately. For a child who spent weeks sleeping on park benches and in doorways, the absolute silence of the mansion must be frightening. You approach and sit on the edge of the bed. Want me to stay here until you fall asleep? Isabella's eyes light up. Could you? Of course. You settle into the armchair beside the bed, adjusting your oxygen tube. Did your grandma used to tell you stories to help you sleep? She did, Isabella says, hugging the pillow. She knew lots of beautiful stories. Cinderella, Snow White. And which one was your favorite? Isabella thinks for a moment. The one about the little girl who found a family that truly loved her. You feel your heart clench. I don't know that one. Can you tell me? Isabella begins to narrate with the sweetness of a child, inventing details as the story unfolds. She speaks of a girl who lived alone but one day found people who made her feel special and cherished. You realize she's telling her own fantasy. Her greatest wish transformed into a fairy tale. When Isabella finally falls asleep, you remain there watching the child's peaceful breathing. For the first time in decades, you're not thinking about business, investments, or financial conquests. Your mind is entirely focused on this little girl who, in a matter of hours, has filled a void you hadn't even known existed. The next morning, you wake later than usual. Your body is responding to the disease's advance, but there's also something different. A sense of purpose you haven't experienced in years. You go down for breakfast and find Isabella already in the kitchen, chatting animatedly with Margaret. Good morning, Daddy, she says, running to hug you. You return the hug, inhaling the sweet scent of Isabella's clean hair. Margaret has bathed the girl and found suitable clothes in a wardrobe she keeps for visiting nieces. How did you sleep, sweetheart? Very well. The bed is as soft as a cloud. Isabella returns to the table where Margaret has prepared a breakfast worthy of a 5-star hotel. Fresh fruits, assorted breads, natural juices, homemade pastries. You watch, fascinated, as Isabella observes each item with reverence. She doesn't pounce on the food like a starving child would. Instead, she savors each bite, closes her eyes to better taste it, thanks Margaret repeatedly. Isabella, you say, sitting beside her. Today we're going to do some important things. We'll go to the mall to buy you clothes. Then we need to go to the county clerk's office to start the adoption papers. The word adoption makes Isabella's eyes fill with tears of joy. Will it be official? Will I have your last name? If you want, you'll be Isabella Williams. Isabella repeats the name several times as if testing how it sounds. Isabella Williams, I like it. At the mall you discover a whole new world. You've never entered a children's clothing store, never watched a child pick out dresses and shoes. Isabella is careful with each item, asking the price of everything, worried about not spending too much of her new father's money. Sweetheart, you say, kneeling to her level. You don't need to worry about money, you can choose whatever you want. But Grandma always said we should be careful with other people's money. You smile. Isabella's grandmother raised a girl with solid principles, even amidst poverty. It's not other people's money anymore, it's ours, our family's. The key word family makes Isabella smile in a way that lights up her whole face. She chooses simple but good quality clothes, always asking for your opinion. You discover you have surprisingly firm views on what looks good on your daughter. In the toy store, you expect Isabella to go wild, choosing everything in sight. Instead, she walks slowly down the aisles, gently touching the toys as if they were precious treasures. Can I choose just one? She asks. You laugh. You can choose as many as you want. Isabella thinks hard and finally chooses a simple auburn-haired doll. She looks like me, she explains, and she looks like she needs a family too. At the county clerk's office, things get complicated. The clerk explains that adoption processes are complex, involving social workers, psychological evaluations, and adjustment periods. You feel time slipping through your fingers like sand. Is there any way to expedite the process, you ask, trying to keep your voice calm? In special cases with medical or social justification, the clerk begins. You make a decision that will change everything. You'll have to reveal your condition, Use your terminal illness as justification for urgency. But that would also mean facing a reality you're trying to avoid. Time is running out and soon Isabella will be an orphan again. The call comes the next morning, interrupting the quiet breakfast you and Isabella are sharing. The name on the phone's display makes you sigh heavily. Robert Williams, your younger brother. Hello, Rob, you answer, trying to keep your tone neutral. James, what's this I hear about you adopting a kid out of the blue? Rob's voice is laden with disbelief and something else you recognize immediately. Greed disguised as concern. You look at Isabella, who's playing with her new doll at the table, pretending to feed it breakfast. Can I call you later? Now's not a good time. Not a good time? James, have you lost your mind completely? A street kid? You don't even like children. You feel your irritation grow. People change, Rob. People change, but not overnight. You're sick. You're not thinking straight. This girl must have seen you have money and taken advantage. Careful what you say, you interrupt, your voice growing dangerously low. Isabella looks up, sensing the tension in her new father's voice. You force a smile for her and get up from the table, walking to your study. James, be reasonable, Rob continues. You have a company, an immense fortune. You can't make important decisions based on sentimentality. What guarantee do we have that this child wasn't coached by someone to take advantage of you? She's 7 years old, Rob. Exactly. And who's behind her? Who put her in your path? Did you think about that? You hadn't thought about it. And the seed of doubt Rob is planting finds fertile ground in your business-oriented mind. Your whole life has been built on suspicion, risk analysis, and distrust. That's how you protected yourself in the business world. I'm coming over this afternoon, Rob says. We need to talk in person, and I'm bringing my lawyer. That's not necessary. Yes, it is. If you're really determined to go through with this, at least let's do it right. Background checks, asset protection agreements, reversion clauses. You hang up the phone and sit heavily in your office armchair. The oxygen tank hisses softly as you take a deep breath, trying to process the conversation. Rob has touched old wounds, reactivated defenses you thought you had abandoned since finding Isabella. Daddy? Isabella's small voice brings you back to the present. She's standing at the study door, holding her doll. Are you okay? You look sad. You beckon her over, and she approaches, climbing onto your lap with the naturalness of a child who already feels safe. You hug her, inhaling that sweet, clean scent that's becoming your favorite perfume. Sometimes people don't understand when we do things from the heart, you say carefully. Isabella nods seriously. Grandma used to say, some people only know how to count money, but they don't know how to count love. The profound simplicity of the observation strikes you like lightning. Isabella, at 7, has captured Rob's essence better than you've managed in decades of family life. Later that day, Rob arrives accompanied by Mr. Silverman, his personal lawyer. You watch them from the window, Rob, at 47, still maintaining the athletic build and charming smile he's always used to get what he wanted. Mr. Silverman is a thin, nervous man carrying a briefcase that seems to weigh more than he does. Isabella, you say. How about you go play in the garden with Margaret? Daddy needs to talk to some boring people. Isabella giggles. Do boring people really exist? Unfortunately, yes. She gives you a kiss on the cheek and runs off, her doll dangling from her arm. You watch her go, feeling a mixture of pride and protectiveness you hadn't known existed. When Rob and Mr. Silverman enter the study, you're ready for battle. James. Rob opens his arms theatrically. You look terrible, brother. This illness is consuming you. Thanks for your concern, you reply dryly. Mr. Silverman opens his briefcase and begins spreading documents on the desk. Mr. Williams, we've prepared some precautionary documents. Nothing against the child, of course, but necessary protections for your estate. You examine the papers. Prenuptial agreements adapted for adoption. Clauses limiting Isabella's access to inheritance until she's 30. Background checks that would extend to anyone who's had contact with the girl. You've turned an adoption Into a business transaction, you say, pushing the papers back. That's exactly what it is. Rob explodes. You think love comes free? This girl appeared out of nowhere, at the exact moment you're most vulnerable, and you don't see a problem with that. At that moment, Isabella appears at the garden window, waving cheerfully at you. She's found a butterfly and is trying to show it to you. Her smile is genuine, without a trace of malice or material interest. Just look at her, Rob says, following your gaze. Calculated from a young age. I bet she knows exactly how much you're worth. You stand up slowly, leaning on your oxygen tank. You have 10 seconds to get out of my house. James, be reasonable. 5 seconds. Rob and Mr. Silverman quickly gather their documents. This isn't over, James, Rob says at the door. You're sick. You're not in condition to make important decisions. If necessary, I'll challenge your mental capacity in court. When they leave, you sit down again, feeling the weight of the threat. Rob isn't bluffing. He really could challenge the adoption, claim mental incapacity, drag the process through the courts, and you only have 5 days of life left. That night, you can't sleep. You remain seated in the armchair in Isabella's room, watching her sleep peacefully, hugging her doll. The girl's quiet breathing contrasts with the storm brewing in your mind. Rob's words echo like a curse. You're not in condition to make important decisions. Around 3 a.m., you feel more intense shortness of breath than usual. You get up carefully so as not to wake Isabella and go to your room, increasing the oxygen flow. Sitting on the edge of your bed, you face your own mortality with brutal clarity. 4 days, maybe fewer. How can you ensure Isabella will be protected when you're gone? Rob has resources, lawyers, and worse, plausible legal reasons to question such a sudden adoption. And if he manages to reverse the process, Isabella will be back on the streets, or worse, in an orphanage where she'll be just another number. The next morning, you decide to be honest with yourself and with Isabella, at least partially. During breakfast, you choose your words carefully. Isabella, you know Daddy is sick, don't you? The girl stops eating and looks at you with those large, expressive eyes. I know. That's why you need that tube to breathe. It's a little more serious than it looks, you say, surprised by your own courage. The doctor said I might not get better. Isabella processes the information with adult-like seriousness. Are you going to die? The direct question, asked with the cruel innocence of children, hits you like a punch. It's possible. Isabella is silent for a long moment, then gets off her chair and approaches you. Can I give you a hug to make you feel better? You pull her onto your lap, feeling tears you hadn't shed in decades begin to form. Your hugs are already helping me a lot. Grandma got sick too, Isabella says, resting her head on your chest. But before she left, she taught me many important things. If you leave too, can you teach me important things? You can barely speak. What kind of things? How to be strong, how to take care of myself, how to remember I'm loved even when I'm alone. In that moment, you understand that you're not just saving Isabella. She's also saving you, teaching you about unconditional love, about the beauty of simplicity, about what truly matters in life. The phone rings, interrupting the moment. It's Dr. Harrison, your physician. Mr. Williams, I need to see you today. The latest tests show faster progression of the disease. It would be best if you came to the hospital. You look at Isabella, who's still on your lap, now playing with the buttons on your shirt. I can't go to the hospital today, doctor. I have important commitments. Mr. Williams, you need to understand the gravity. I understand perfectly. But today, my daughter and I are going to the zoo. You hang up before the doctor can protest. Isabella lifts her head, surprised. Are we going to the zoo? Really? Really. And afterward, we'll get ice cream and do whatever you want. Isabella jumps off your lap, radiant. Can I choose which animals we see first? You can choose everything. As Isabella runs to get ready, you make a decision that surprises even yourself. If you only have a few days left, you won't spend a minute in hospitals or lawyers' offices. You'll spend every second with Isabella, creating memories she can carry forever. At the zoo, you discover the world through a child's eyes. Isabella is mesmerized by the elephants, laughs at the monkey's antics, marvels at the flamingo's colors. She asks questions about every animal, invents stories about their lives, and insists you take pictures of her with each one. So when you get better, we can look at the pictures and remember our special day, she explains. You take dozens of photos, knowing they'll be precious. Not for you, but for Isabella when she grows up. In every photo, the girl's smile is genuine, radiant, free of any worry or material interest. At the zoo snack bar, Isabella orders simple chocolate ice cream. You, accustomed to the world's finest restaurants, find that watching Isabella savor that simple ice cream is more satisfying than any gourmet meal you've ever experienced. "Daddy," Isabella says, licking her ice cream, "are you happy?" "Very happy." "Why?" "Because your eyes are sparkling. Grandma said that when your eyes sparkle, it's because your heart is happy." You laugh, a genuine laugh you hadn't heard from yourself in years. "Your eyes are sparkling too. It's because I've never been this happy in my whole life." On the way home, Isabella falls asleep in the back seat of the taxi, exhausted from so much excitement. You watch her sleep, memorizing every detail of that angelic face. If you only have a few days to be a father, you'll be the best father you can be. But when you arrive home, an unpleasant surprise awaits. Rob is in the living room, accompanied by a woman in a suit you don't recognize. "James," Rob says, standing up. "This is Miss Helen Santos, a social worker. She needs to ask some questions about the girl's situation." You feel your heart sink. Rob has involved the system. He's using bureaucracy to question the adoption. The battle for Isabella's custody is just beginning, and you know you're at a clear disadvantage. A single, terminally ill man against an entire legal system that will question your ability to raise a child. Miss Helen Santos is a woman of about 41 with her hair in a severe bun and eyes that seem to dissect every detail around her. She carries a bulky folder and a digital recorder, clear signs this won't be an informal conversation. "Mr. Williams," she says in a professional voice, "I need to assess the conditions of this adoption. I received a report indicating possible irregularities in the process." You look at Rob with barely concealed anger. Isabella, still sleepy from the outing, clings to your leg, instinctively sensing something is wrong. "What kind of irregularities?" you ask, keeping your voice calm for Isabella's sake. "A precipitous adoption without adequate adjustment period, lack of prior psychological evaluation, and," she consults her papers, "questions about your physical and mental capacity to care for a child." Isabella looks up, confused. "Daddy, why is the lady saying those hard words?" You kneel beside her. "Isabella, the lady needs to ask some questions to understand how happy we are together. How about you go play in your room while we talk?" "No," Miss Santos interrupts. "I need to speak with the child as well. It's part of the protocol." You feel a wave of fierce protectiveness. She's 7 years old. She doesn't understand these legal matters. "Children understand more than we imagine," the social worker replies. "Isabella, can you sit here with me?" Isabella looks at you, and you nod reluctantly. She sits on the edge of the sofa, still clutching her doll, her feet swinging nervously. "Isabella, how long have you known Mr. Williams?" "A few days," Isabella answers honestly. "And before that, where did you live?" "On the street, after Grandma died." Miss Santos makes notes. "Did you ask him for food?" "I did." Isabella doesn't seem to understand why this is important. "And did he offer for you to live here?" "He asked if I wanted to be his daughter." Isabella's face lights up at the memory. "No one ever wanted to be my daddy before." "Isabella," the social worker's voice softens, "do you know that Mr. Williams has a lot of money?" You tense, but Isabella seems genuinely confused by the question. "Money?" "Yes, this big house, pretty clothes, toys. Did you know that when you asked him for food?" Isabella shakes her head. "I just wanted food. I'd been hungry for a long time." "And now that you know he's rich, do you like him more?" Isabella frowns as if the question doesn't make sense. "I like him because he's my daddy, because he hugs me, tells me stories, and his eyes sparkle when he smiles at me." Miss Santos seems surprised. By the answer. You don't like the things he buys for you? I do, Isabella says simply. But I'd like him even if he didn't buy anything. Grandma didn't have money, but I loved her very much. You feel your chest swell with pride. Isabella, with her childlike honesty, is dismantling all suspicions of material interest. Mr. Williams, Miss Santos turns to you. May I speak with you privately? You ask Isabella to go play in the garden with Margaret. When you're alone, the social worker gets straight to the point. You're ill, terminally ill according to the information I've received. You look at Rob, who avoids your gaze. It's true. And you thought it appropriate to adopt a child, knowing you'll leave her orphaned again soon? The question hits you like a bullet. It's the exact doubt that's tormented you since making the decision. I thought a few days of real love would be better than a lifetime of abandonment, you say quietly. But did you consider the trauma this will cause the child? She's already lost her grandmother. Now she'll get attached to you and lose you too. You stand up, walking to the window where you can see Isabella playing in the garden. She's found another butterfly and is trying to make her doll talk to it. Miss Santos, you say without turning, do you have children? I do, too. If you knew you only had a week with them, would you choose to spend that week showing them love? Or would you distance yourself to prevent them from suffering your departure? Miss Santos is silent for a long moment. It's different. My children already know me. They have a solid emotional foundation. Isabella had nothing, absolutely nothing. You turn to her. Now she has someone who loves her unconditionally. Someone who would do anything to protect her. Isn't that worth a week? And afterwards? When you die, does she go back to the street? No. You open a drawer and pull out documents you prepared the night before. I've established a trust fund that will guarantee Isabella's education, housing, and care until she's 18. After that, she'll receive an inheritance that will support her for life. Rob speaks for the first time. Money doesn't replace a stable father figure. And what's your proposal, Rob? You turn to your brother. That I abandon her now? That she goes back to the streets? That she be placed with a suitable family through proper channels in an adoption line that could take years, moving from foster family to foster family? Miss Santos interrupts the argument. I need more time to assess the situation. Until then, Isabella will be placed in temporary state custody. No. The word comes from you with a force that surprises everyone. She stays with me. Mr. Williams, it's not a choice, it's standard procedure in questionable cases. There's nothing questionable about the love I feel for my daughter. Miss Santos sighs. I have 20 years of experience, Mr. Williams. I've seen many situations that seemed like true love turn out to be other things. I need to protect the child. At that moment, Isabella runs in through the door, holding a flower she picked in the garden. Daddy, this is for you. She offers the small yellow flower with a radiant smile. You accept the flower, and Isabella notices you look sad. Why are you sad? Isn't the flower pretty? The flower is perfect, sweetheart. Isabella turns to Miss Santos. Miss, can you make my daddy happy again? He was happy at the zoo. The child's innocent question creates heavy silence in the room. Miss Santos looks at Isabella, then at you, clearly torn between professional protocol and what her eyes are seeing. Need more time, she says finally, gathering her documents. I'll be back tomorrow with my decision. When she leaves, you hug Isabella, knowing it might be one of the last hugs you can share as father and daughter. That night, you can't hide your anxiety from Isabella. During dinner, she watches you push food around your plate, the oxygen tank, hissing more frequently than usual. Daddy, are you worried about the lady who came today? You try to smile. A little. Is she going to take me away? The direct question makes you choke. How can you lie to those trusting eyes? I'm going to fight to make sure that doesn't happen. Isabella gets down from her chair and approaches you. Can I tell you a secret? You nod, pulling her onto your lap. I always knew you were very sick, she whispers in your ear. You tense. What do you mean? The first day when you were breathing hard near me, I recognized it. Grandma made the same little noises before she went to heaven. You feel the world spin. And even so, you wanted to stay with me? Isabella looks at you, with a seriousness that doesn't belong to a 7-year-old. Daddy, do you think I asked you for food by chance? What do you mean? I'd been on that street for 3 days. Lots of people passed by, some even gave me food. But when I saw you with that tube and that sad face, I knew. Knew what? That you needed me as much as I needed you. You feel tears stream down your face. Sweetheart, Grandma taught me something. Before she died, Isabella continues. She said that sometimes God sends angels disguised as regular people to take care of those who need it most. I think you're my angel, and I'm yours. At that moment, the phone rings. You hesitate to answer, but Isabella insists. Answer it, Daddy, it might be important. It's Miss Santos, and her voice is different, less formal. Mr. Williams, I need to see you urgently. Something important has happened. Is it about Isabella? It's about both of you. Can I come over now? The unexpected visitor. 30 minutes. Later, Miss Santos arrives, accompanied by an elderly woman you don't recognize. The stranger has gray hair and kind eyes, much like Isabella's. Isabella, Miss Santos says softly, this lady has something important to tell you. The elderly woman kneels to Isabella's level, who hides behind your legs. My dear, the woman says with a trembling voice, I am Ruth, your Grandma Mary's sister. Isabella's eyes widen. Grandma had a sister? She did. We argued many years ago, over something silly, and we lost touch. I only found out about Mary's death when I saw her name in the newspaper obituary. Ruth wipes her tears. I've been looking for you for weeks, child. The neighbor said you had disappeared after the funeral. You feel the ground fall out from under you. Isabella has family. Blood family. I tried to find you. Ruth continues. I went to the police, to orphanages, to shelters. This morning they finally contacted me saying a social worker was investigating your situation. Miss Santos addresses you. Ruth is a retired teacher, owns her own home, has excellent references. Legally, as Isabella's closest living relative, she has priority for custody. You feel as if you've been punched in the stomach. You look at Isabella, who seems confused and scared. But Miss Santos continues. Before making any decisions, Ruth wanted to see Isabella's current situation for herself. Ruth stands up and addresses you. Sir, I know you must hate me right now, but I need to see with my own eyes if my niece is being well cared for. You nod, unable to speak. You watch Ruth examine the surroundings, notice Isabella's new clothes, the toys, the way the girl clings to you. Isabella, Ruth says gently, do you remember me? I used to visit your grandma sometimes when you were a baby. Isabella shakes her head but moves a little closer. Your grandma talked about you a lot in the letters we exchanged, Ruth continues. She said you were the most special girl in the world. Grandma wrote letters to you? Isabella asks. She did, and she always said that if anything happened to her, I should take care of you. You feel life slipping through your fingers. Not only are you losing Isabella to your approaching death, but to someone who has more right to her than you ever would. But then something unexpected happens. Isabella turns to Ruth and asks, do you want to be my great-aunt? Ruth smiles. Of course, dear. And can he still be my daddy? Ruth looks at you surprised. Dear, if I take you to live with me, I don't want to go, Isabella says firmly. I want to stay with my daddy. But sweetheart, I'm your real family. Isabella thinks for a moment, then says something that leaves everyone speechless. Grandma always said, family isn't just about who has the same blood. Family is who truly loves us. She looks at you. He truly loves me. Ruth sits down heavily, clearly emotional. Your father is sick, isn't he? Very sick. Isabella nods. But while he's here, I want to stay with him. And when he goes to heaven to meet Grandma, then you can take care of me. You can't believe Isabella's maturity. She's found a solution that not even the adults had thought of. Ruth looks at you for a long moment. How many days did the doctors give you? Originally, a week. Today is the 4th day. And what do you plan to do in the remaining days? Love my daughter the best I can. Ruth stands up and extends her hand to you. Then we have a deal. I'll stay here to get to know Isabella better and help where needed. When the time comes, she won't be alone. Miss Santos, who has watched the entire scene in silence, finally speaks. This might be the most unconventional solution I've ever witnessed, but also the most humane. Isabella runs to hug you. Now I have a daddy and a great aunt. We're a real family. You hug Isabella, looking at Ruth with infinite gratitude. Against all odds, a solution has emerged. Isabella won't be alone when you're gone, but she also won't be separated from you in the precious days that remain. For the first time since your diagnosis, you feel something akin to peace. In the following days, your mansion transforms into a true home for the first time in decades. Ruth settles into the guest room next to Isabella's and quickly establishes a routine that brings order and warmth to the house that had always been cold and silent. You watch, fascinated, as Ruth interacts with Isabella. There's a maternal naturalness about her that you would never possess, but you also realize that your relationship with the girl is unique and irreplaceable. Isabella treats you differently. With Ruth, she's more spontaneous, asks questions about her grandmother, listens to family stories. With you, she's more protective, notices when you're tired, brings you water without being asked. She senses you need her, Ruth explains one morning as you have coffee together. Isabella is still asleep. It's a maternal instinct, even though she's so young. And is that good or bad? You ask, adjusting your oxygen flow. It's love, Ruth says simply, and love is never bad even when it hurts. You've begun to understand that Ruth isn't just a convenient solution for Isabella's future. She's a wise woman who lost her husband 5 years ago and has no children of her own. Mary, Isabella's grandmother, had been her only close family, and she carries the guilt of not having reconciled with her sister before her death. Why did you two fight? You ask one afternoon as you watch Isabella play in the garden. Pride, Ruth admits. Mary wanted to lend me money when I was going through financial difficulties. I felt humiliated, said terrible things, and neither of us had the courage to take the first step toward reconciliation. Ruth looks at you. Sometimes pride robs us of what's most precious in life. You understand? She's also talking about you, about the relationships you've sacrificed, the family you never built because you were always focused on proving your worth through material success. That afternoon, Rob appears again, but this time his presence doesn't bring the usual tension. Ruth greets him with the firm courtesy of an experienced teacher, and you realize your brother is disarmed before this small but determined woman. So you three are going to play family, Rob says with his usual sarcasm. We're not playing, Ruth replies calmly. We are being a family. Rob turns to you. Don't you think you're complicating things even more? Now you have an elderly woman, getting attached to the girl too. Ruth is Isabella's great aunt. She has more right to her than any of us. Exactly my point. Why don't you just let the woman take the child and end this situation? Isabella, who's been playing nearby, overhears the conversation and approaches. Uncle Rob, why don't you like me? Rob is speechless. Isabella stares at him with the direct honesty of children, without malice, just genuine curiosity. It's not that I don't like you. Is it because you're afraid I'll take Daddy's money? You try to intervene, but Ruth stops you with a gesture, interested in Rob's response. It's more complicated than that, Rob says, clearly uncomfortable. Grandma always said that when someone is mad at us for no reason, it's because they're afraid of something, Isabella says. What are you afraid of? Rob looks at you, then at Ruth, finally at Isabella. For a moment, his defenses seem to crumble. I'm afraid my brother will be tricked, he says, And for the first time he sounds sincere. Tricked how? That someone will take advantage of him because he's sick and alone. Isabella considers this seriously. Do you think I'll hurt my daddy? I don't know you. I don't know you. Isabella extends her small hand to Rob. Want to get to know me? I can show you my toys. Rob looks at the outstretched hand as if it were a snake. You're ready to intervene, expecting your brother to cruelly reject the child. But something unexpected happens. Rob takes Isabella's hand. All right, you can show me your toys. As Isabella leads Rob to her room, Ruth whispers to you, children have a special power to disarm even the hardest hearts. In Isabella's room, Rob is bombarded with stories about each toy, each outfit, each adventure she's experienced in the past few days. Isabella shows him the zoo pictures, tells him about the ice cream, about how you taught her to ride a bike in the garden. And this one, she says, picking up a drawing she made, is our family portrait. Rob examines the drawing. There are 4 figures. Isabella in the center, you with your oxygen tank, Ruth with a big smile, and surprisingly, a 4th figure beside them. Who is this? Rob asks, pointing to the extra figure. It's you, Isabella says naturally. Your family, too. Rob is silent for a long moment, looking at the drawing. I'm not very kind to you all. Grandma said angry people just need more love, Isabella replies. Do you want more love? It's the simplest and most devastating question Rob has ever heard. He sits heavily on Isabella's little bed, holding the drawing. I don't know if I deserve it. Everybody deserves it, Isabella says, climbing onto the bed and sitting beside him. Daddy taught me that. When you and Ruth go up to see how the introduction is going, you find Rob listening to Isabella tell a story, both sitting on the bed sharing a picture book. You feel something stir in your chest. Maybe it isn't too late to rebuild bridges. Maybe Isabella's love is contagious enough to heal old wounds between brothers. Rob, you say softly. Your brother looks up, and you see tears that haven't appeared in decades. She put me in the family drawing, Rob says, showing the paper. Because you are family, you say, extending your hand. Rob takes it, and for the first time in years, the brothers hug. Isabella claps her hands, radiant. Now we're a real family, complete. You look around the room. Isabella jumping with joy, Ruth wiping tears of emotion, Rob holding a child's drawing as if it were a treasure. In a matter of days, this little girl has accomplished what you hadn't managed in decades, created a family united by love. The 6th day arrives with a golden morning that seems to bless this unlikely family. You wake up feeling surprisingly, well, with more energy than you've experienced since your diagnosis. Isabella is in your bed, sleeping beside you, a practice that's become routine in recent nights when she senses you're weaker. Daddy, she whispers, opening her eyes. How are you today? Better, you say, and it isn't a lie. Much better. Isabella smiles and snuggles closer. I asked God to give you a special day today, and it looks like he answered my prayer. You go down for breakfast hand in hand and find Ruth and Rob already in the kitchen. Rob's presence is still surreal for you. Your brother spent the night at the mansion, in the room he occupied in childhood, and for the first time in decades you talked like family. Good morning, family, Isabella says cheerfully, greeting each of them with a kiss. Rob smiles, a genuine smile you haven't seen in years. Good morning, Princess. During breakfast, Isabella makes an important announcement. Today, I want to do something special for everyone. What do you have in mind? Ruth asks. I want to cook for you. Grandma taught me how to make cookies. You open your mouth to protest. Isabella is too young to use the oven, but Ruth silences you with a look. What a wonderful idea. I'll help. You. What follows is one of the happiest mornings you've ever experienced. The kitchen turns into a sweet battlefield with flour scattered everywhere. Isabella directing operations like a determined chef, Ruth and Rob following her instructions with feigned seriousness. You watch from the kitchen table laughing until your chest hurts. A good pain, different from the one your illness brings. Your oxygen tank is there, but it seems less necessary at that moment. Daddy, You have to try the batter, Isabella insists, offering a flour-covered spoon. You taste it and make an exaggerated face of approval. It's the best batter I've ever tasted. It's because it was made with love, Isabella says, repeating a phrase she clearly learned from her grandmother. Rob, covered in flour from head to toe, is laughing in a way you haven't seen since childhood. When was the last time we did something like this together, he asks. You think? Never. We've never done anything like this. So we're making new memories, Ruth says, shaping cookies with Isabella. While the cookies bake, Isabella decides you should have a picnic in the garden. Margaret helps prepare sandwiches, Ruth makes lemonade, and Rob surprisingly suggests building a makeshift fort with sheets. Do you know how to build forts? Isabella asks, impressed. Your daddy and I used to make them when we were little. Rob says, looking at you. In the backyard of our first house, you remember? You'd been children once before life turned you into adversaries in the race for success. Can you teach me? Isabella asks. Rob spends the whole afternoon teaching Isabella how to tie knots, stretch ropes, and build a sturdy fort. You watch, marveling at the patience your brother shows, the natural kindness he's hidden for so many years. By late afternoon, you're all sitting in the improvised fort, eating slightly burnt but delicious cookies, drinking lemonade, and telling stories. Isabella is at the center, surrounded by her 3 favorite adults, radiant with happiness. Tell a story from when you were little, she requests. You and Rob exchange glances. There are few happy moments to tell. Your childhood was marked by poverty, by your single mother's struggle to raise 2 sons. There was one Christmas, you begin slowly, when we had no money for presents. Rob nods, remembering. Our mom was so sad, but we decided to make presents for each other. I made a wooden toy car for Rob out of scraps of wood I found, you continue. And I made a storybook for James, Rob says. I drew and wrote it all myself. Isabella listens with shining eyes. And did you like the presents? They were the best presents we ever got, the 2 brothers say at the same time, then laugh at their synchronization. Our mom cried when she saw them, you recall. She said we were the most special sons in the world. What happened to her? Isabella asks gently. She died when we were teenagers, Rob says sadly. And after that, we drifted apart. Each went his own way. Isabella thinks for a moment, then says something that touches everyone's heart. I think she'd be happy to see you 2 together again. You feel tears stream down your face. I think so too. And I think Grandma is happy too. Isabella continues, in heaven watching our family become complete. Ruth wipes her own eyes. Your grandmother always dreamed of seeing family reunited. When night comes, none of you want the day to end. Isabella has fallen asleep in the fort, exhausted from so much happiness. You carry her into the house, noticing you can do so without much effort, something that would have been impossible a few days earlier. You're better, Rob observes, really better. I am, you admit. I don't understand it, but I am. Ruth, who has been watching you all day, makes an observation that makes you think. Sometimes the body responds to what the heart feels, and your heart is lighter. That night, for the first time since your diagnosis, you go to sleep without thinking about death. You think only of the family you've found, the love you've finally known, the little girl who has transformed your life in a matter of days. But you don't know that in the room next door, Isabella is awake, whispering fervent prayers to her grandmother, in heaven and to a God she believes in with all the faith of her small heart. Please, she whispers, let my daddy stay with me a little longer. We're so happy together. The 7th day should have been your last. According to the doctors, you should have been in your final throes, perhaps already gone. Instead, you wake at 6 a.m. without an alarm clock, feeling more refreshed than you have in months. The oxygen tank is beside the bed, but you realize you haven't needed it during the night. You stand up carefully, testing your strength. Your legs hold firm. Your breathing, though still not perfect, is significantly better. You walk to the window and open the curtains, letting the morning sun bathe the room. Daddy? Isabella appears at the door, rubbing her sleepy eyes. You're standing. I am, you say, smiling. And feeling very well. Isabella runs to you, and you lift her into your arms without difficulty, something you haven't been able to do for weeks. She hugs you tightly, inhaling your scent. My prayers worked, she whispers in your ear. I knew they would. You put her down and kneel to her level. Isabella, you understand I'm still sick, right? That this might just be a good day? No, she says with the absolute conviction of childhood. You're getting better. I can feel it. How? Can you feel it? Your eyes, they don't have that dark sadness anymore. And your hands aren't cold anymore. She takes your hands and warms them between her own small ones. Love is healing you. You want to argue, to explain about fluctuations in medical conditions, about false hopes. But looking into those eyes full of unwavering faith, you decide, for the first time in your life, to simply believe. At breakfast, Ruth and Rob also notice your evident improvement. You eat with appetite for the first time in weeks, laugh without forcing it, participate in the conversation without pausing for breath. We need to go to the doctor, Ruth says, worried and hopeful at the same time. No, you say. Not today. Today I want to enjoy every minute of feeling well. But James... Ruth, if I'm going to get bad news, I'd rather get it tomorrow. If I'm going to get good news, it can wait a day. Isabella claps her hands. Then today is a total fun day. Rob, who has spent the morning observing you with growing amazement, finally speaks. James, this is unbelievable. You look like a different man. I am a different man, you say, looking at Isabella. I'm a father. The morning is dedicated to activities you haven't done in years. You play soccer in the yard. You manage to run, albeit slowly. You play hide and seek. You hide behind trees without needing your oxygen tank. Isabella teaches everyone a dance she invented, and you manage to keep up with all the movements. You're normal, Isabella exclaims during the dance. Just like other daddies, the observation touches you deeply. For the first time, you're simply a father playing with his daughter without the shadow of death hovering over every moment. In the afternoon, you make a decision that surprises everyone. Let's visit Dr. Harrison. But you said you didn't want to go to the doctor today. Ruth reminds you. I changed my mind. I want him to see how well I am. I want him to confirm what I already know. What do you already know? Rob asks. You look at Isabella, who's playing with her doll on the sofa. That miracles happen. At Dr. Harrison's office, the reception is one of utter shock. The receptionist has to double-check your name, unable to believe that this healthy, rosy-cheeked man standing without respiratory aid is the same terminal patient who left the hospital a week earlier. Dr. Harrison enters the room and stops at the door. James, is that really you? It's me, doctor. But how? Where's your oxygen tank? In the car. I haven't needed it today. Dr. Harrison approaches, examining you with eyes that can't believe what they're seeing. You should be... according to our calculations, I should be dead, you say calmly. I know. I need to run some tests urgently. The tests last 2 hours. X-rays, CT scans, blood tests, respiratory tests. While you undergo the procedures, Isabella waits in the waiting room with Ruth and Rob, entertaining other patients with stories about her wonderful father. When Dr. Harrison calls you all into his office, his face is pale. I have no medical explanation for what I'm about to say, he begins. Your tumors have shrunk dramatically. Some have disappeared completely. Your lung function has improved by 60%. Your blood markers are almost normal. Complete silence fills the room. Does that mean he's not going to die? Isabella asks with childlike frankness. Dr. Harrison looks at her, then at you. It means that for some reason medicine can't explain. Your father is recovering. Isabella jumps from her chair and runs to you. I told you my prayers would work. Rob is in shock. Is this possible, doctor? Statistically, no. I've seen spontaneous remissions, but never this rapid or this complete. Dr. Harrison turns to you. What changed in your life this week? You look at Isabella, who's on your lap, radiant. Everything. Absolutely everything. Any alternative treatments? New medication? Just... You hesitate, knowing how it will sound. Just love. A lot of love. Dr. Harrison makes notes clearly, struggling between scientific skepticism and the evidence before his eyes. I'm going to refer you for a full battery of tests with specialists. We need to monitor this closely. Doctor, Ruth says timidly, do you believe in miracles? Dr. Harrison, a man who has dedicated his life to science, looks at you hugging Isabella, then at Ruth and Rob smiling through tears. Ma'am, he says slowly, this week, I've started to believe. On the way home, Isabella hums a song she made, up about daddies who get well. You drive, something you haven't done in months, feeling the wind on your face from the open window. Daddy, Isabella says from the back seat, can we have a lot of time together now? You look at her in the rearview mirror. It seems so, sweetheart. A lot of time. Enough time for you to teach me to ride my bike properly and take me to school and meet my friends. Enough time for all that and much more. Isabella sighs happily. I knew God wouldn't separate us. We're a perfect family. You smile, finally believing that perhaps she's right. A week after the appointment with Dr. Harrison, you're officially in remission. The battery of tests confirms what seemed impossible. The man who should have died is not only alive, but recovering extraordinarily. The news spreads through the hospital like a medical phenomenon, and you find yourself the center of attention. You don't desire. Daddy, why do so many people want to talk to you? Isabella asks as you leave another medical appointment. Because the doctors were surprised I got better, you explain, adjusting Isabella's small hand in yours. But I wasn't surprised, she says matter-of-factly. I knew you were going to get well. You smile. Isabella's unwavering faith has become your source of strength in moments when even you doubt your own recovery. At home, life has taken on a wonderful, new rhythm. Ruth has decided to stay permanently, becoming the grandmother Isabella never had and the family you always wanted. Rob visits almost daily, rediscovering the joy of being an uncle and reconnecting with the brother he thought he had, lost forever. But with new life comes new challenges. You now face the reality of being a single father to a 7-year-old, without the urgency of imminent death, but with all the real responsibilities of parenthood. Isabella needs to start school, Ruth says one morning while the girl plays in the garden. You feel a pang in your chest. You've grown accustomed to having Isabella constantly nearby, and the idea of being separated from her, even for a few hours, makes you anxious. Isn't she happy here? We can hire private tutors. James, Ruth touches your arm gently. She needs to be around other children, make friends her own age, have a normal life. Normal? You repeat the word as if it were foreign. I don't even know what normal is anymore. Rob, who has arrived for breakfast, another new family tradition, overhears the conversation. Normal is having a routine, responsibilities, age-appropriate challenges. Isabella is a bright child. She needs educational stimulation. You know they're right, but the prospect of leaving Isabella in an environment you don't fully control terrifies you. What if something happens to her? What if other children don't treat her well? What if she feels abandoned? Daddy looks worried again, Isabella observes, entering the kitchen with dirt on her hands from the garden. We were just talking about you starting school, you say, trying to sound casual. Isabella's eyes light up. A real school? With other kids? Would you like that? Very much. Grandma always said I was very smart and would like studying. Isabella pauses. But will you miss me? You kneel to her level. I'll miss you every second we're apart. And I'll miss you, Isabella says. But in the afternoon, I'll come back and tell you everything I learned. The simplicity with which Isabella faces the situation makes you realize your own anxieties are more about your fears as an inexperienced father than about your daughter's actual needs. The following week, you visit 3 private schools. Isabella is fascinated by everything. Colorful classrooms, libraries full of books, playgrounds with toys she's never seen. At each school, she asks intelligent questions, chats easily with teachers and principals, and shows a thirst for knowledge that impresses everyone. She's an exceptional child, says the principal of the last school you visit, Mrs. Davis. Very mature for her age, yet she preserves all the natural curiosity and joy of childhood. You choose that school, a small, welcoming institution where classes are small and individual attention is a priority. On the first day of school, you're more nervous than Isabella. "Daddy, are you going to cry?" she asks, packing her new backpack. "Maybe a little." Isabella hugs you tightly. "You don't need to cry. I'm your daughter forever, even when I'm not by your side." You walk her to the classroom door, watch her confidently, introduce herself to the teacher, and greet the other children with her radiant smile. When she waves to you from the window, you have to turn away so you won't cry in front of the other parents. "First time dropping off your daughter at school?" asks a mother who has noticed your emotion. "First time for everything," you admit. "I've only been a father for a few weeks." The woman smiles with understanding. The hardest part of being a parent is learning to let your children fly with their own wings. During the 6 hours Isabella is at school, you can't concentrate on anything. You call the school 3 times to see if she's okay. Ruth and Rob laugh at your anxiety, but understand. You're discovering that true love includes constant worry, Ruth observes. When Isabella leaves school, she runs to you with open arms, overflowing with stories to tell. "Daddy, I made 3 friends. The teacher said I read very well and there's a giant library. Can I bring books home?" In the car, Isabella chatters non-stop about every moment of the day. You realize your daughter has blossomed in this new environment, and your worry was unfounded. "Isabella," you say during dinner, "you were very brave today." "You too, Daddy. It must have been hard to leave me there." You laugh. Sometimes Isabella shows an emotional perception that surprises you. It was, but it was worth it to see how happy you were. "Do you know what the best part of school was?" Isabella asks. "What?" "When the kids asked about my family, I could talk about my daddy, Aunt Ruth, Uncle Rob, and Grandma who's in heaven watching over us all." Isabella smiles. "I have the most special family in the whole school." That night, as you put Isabella to bed, you reflect on how completely your life has changed. A few months earlier, you were a lonely, bitter man focused only on accumulating wealth. Now, you're the father of an extraordinary girl, have a loving family, and for the first time, understand the true meaning of happiness. "Daddy," Isabella whispers in the dark. "Yes, sweetheart. Do you think Grandma is proud of me?" You sit on the edge of the bed and stroke her hair. "I'm sure she is. And I'm very proud of you too. And I'm proud to have you as my daddy." You kiss. Isabella's forehead feeling gratitude so deep it almost hurts. "Good night, sweetheart. I love you more than anything in the world." "I love you too, Daddy, forever and ever." When Isabella falls asleep, you watch her for a few minutes, still marveling at the miracle that is your life. You've learned that true love not only heals hearts, sometimes it literally saves lives. 3 months have passed since that first encounter on the gray street. You're officially cured, a word Dr. Harrison still pronounces with incredulity but which tests confirm month after month. Isabella has blossomed at school, becoming one of the most beloved and brightest students in her class. The family you've built seems solid and happy. But that June morning, everything changes. You're in your office reviewing company documents. You've gradually returned to work, discovering that your perspective on business has completely changed. Now you prioritize employees, social responsibility, sustainability. Profit still matters, but it's no longer the sole objective. The phone rings. It's Isabella's school. "Mr. Williams," the secretary's voice is tense. "You need to pick up Isabella. Urgently." Your heart races. "What happened? Is she hurt?" "No, sir, but she's very upset. There was an incident during recess." You drop everything and rush to the school. You find Isabella sitting in the principal's office, clutching her doll. tears streaming down her face. When she sees you, she runs into your arms. Daddy, you came. Of course I did, sweetheart. What happened? Principal Mrs. Davis explains the situation gently. Some older students made unpleasant comments about Isabella during recess. They said she didn't have a real family, that she'd been picked up off the street, that her father only adopted her out of pity. You feel fierce anger rise in your chest. And what did the school do? The boys were punished, of course, but Isabella was very shaken. She cried for the rest of the period. You look at Isabella, who has stopped crying but still seems fragile. Sweetheart, do you want to tell me what those boys said? Isabella hesitates, then whispers. They said I'm not your real daughter, that you only took me in because you felt sorry for me, that when you get tired of playing daddy, you'll send me away. The words hit you like daggers. You kneel to Isabella's level, holding her small face between your hands. Isabella, look at me. Do you believe what those boys said? Isabella shakes her head, but her voice is uncertain. No. But is it true you found me on the street? It's true. And is it true I'm not your biological daughter? You take a deep breath. This is the moment you've always known would come, when Isabella would question her origin, her story, the nature of your relationship. It's true you weren't born from my body like some children are. But Isabella, you touch her chest, over her heart. You were born here in my heart, and that makes you more my daughter than anything in the world. But why did you choose me? Why not a rich, pretty girl who already had a family? You smile through your own tears. Because you were exactly the daughter my heart was looking for. Because when I saw you, I recognized we were from the same family, the family of people who need love and know how to give love. Isabella seems to process this. And you'll never send me away? Isabella Williams, you say solemnly, you are my daughter forever. There are no returns for daughters of the heart. There's no expiration date on a father's love. Even if you do something wrong, even if you do 1,000 things wrong, even if you fight with me, even if you grow up and rebel, even if you disappoint me, real daddies never give up on their children, and I am your real daddy. Isabella throws herself into your arms and you hug her tightly, feeling the tension leave her small body. Can I say something to those boys tomorrow? Isabella asks. Of course. What do you want to say? Isabella pulls back a little, and you see new determination in her eyes. I want to tell them they're jealous because they don't have a daddy who loves them as much as mine loves me. And that real family isn't about who has the same blood. It's about who has the same love. You laugh, proud of your daughter's wisdom. Do you want me to go with you to talk to them? No need. I know who I am. I know who my family is, and I know I'm loved. Isabella smiles. Grandma always said that when we know who we are, other people's words can't hurt us. On the way home, Isabella is quieter than usual. You respect her silence, understanding she's processing not just the incident but deeper questions about identity and belonging. At home, Ruth and Rob are waiting. The school had called them too. Isabella tells the whole story and finishes with a declaration that touches everyone. Today, I understood something important. I'm not Isabella because I was adopted. I'm Isabella because I was chosen. And being chosen is much more special than being born. Rob approaches Isabella. Isabella, can I tell you a secret? She nods. I was chosen to be your uncle too. I wasn't born an uncle. I became an uncle when I met you. And it's the best thing that's happened to me in years. Ruth adds, and I chose to be your great aunt. I could have taken you away, but I chose to stay and be a family together. Isabella looks around the room at the 3 people she loves most in the world. So we're all chosen? All of us, you confirm. And we choose each other every day, again and again. That night, during your bedtime ritual, Isabella asks a question that shows her growing maturity. Daddy, do you think my biological parents loved me? You choose your words carefully. I don't know who your biological parents were, sweetheart, but I know that if they knew you like I know you, they would love you as much as I do. And why didn't they stay with me? Sometimes people can't take care of their children even if they love them very much. It could be illness, poverty, problems they can't solve. It doesn't mean they didn't love you. Isabella thinks for a moment. So they gave me to Grandma because they wanted me to be taken care of? Probably so. And Grandma raised me with love until she couldn't anymore? Exactly. And then she asked you to find me and take care of me? You smile. You don't believe in divine intervention, but maybe that's exactly what happened. Isabella snuggles into your arms. So I've had 3 families who loved me. The first one who gave me life, Grandma who raised me, and you who chose me. I'm a very lucky girl. You kiss her forehead, marveling once again at Isabella's ability to transform pain into gratitude, rejection into acceptance, questioning into certainty. Yes, sweetheart, you are the luckiest girl in the world, and I am the luckiest daddy in the world. Forever? Forever and ever. When Isabella falls asleep, you watch her, reflecting on how that day has been a milestone. Isabella has faced her first major identity crisis and emerged stronger, more secure, more certain of who she is and where she belongs. It was the most emotionally tense moment you've faced as a family, and you've overcome it together with love, honesty, and unity. You know other crises will come, it's part of life, part of growing up. But you also know that together, you can face anything. A year has passed since that encounter that changed everything. You're in your office, but not working on the cold numbers of spreadsheets that once dominated your life. Instead, you're organizing preparations for a very special celebration. The first official anniversary of Isabella's adoption. The transformation in your company has been radical. Under your new leadership, it has become a benchmark in social responsibility, creating programs to support orphan children, funding shelters, and establishing a permanent fund for vulnerable families. You've discovered that using your fortune to help others is infinitely more satisfying than simply accumulating it. Daddy. Isabella runs into the office, still in her school uniform, her hair flying, and the smile that has become the light of your life. Guess what happened today? You lift her into your arms, a gesture you never tire of, still marveling at your recovered strength. Let me guess. You got an A in math again? Better than that. Isabella opens her backpack and pulls out a colorful paper. The teacher chose my essay for the citywide contest. You examine the essay titled My Special Family. You read it in silence, your heart clenching with emotion at every line. Isabella has written about love that transcends blood, about second chances, about how families can be born from unexpected encounters. She ends with a sentence that brings tears to your eyes. I learned that real love can cure any illness, even the illness of having an empty heart. Isabella, this is wonderful. You're becoming an incredible writer. Grandma always said I had a gift for words. I think she was right. You kiss your daughter's forehead. She was right about many things. At that moment, Ruth appears at the door with Rob, both carrying colorful bags. Is someone ready for a party? Ruth asks, smiling. Isabella jumps from your arms. Our family's anniversary party. Preparations for the celebration had begun weeks earlier. It wouldn't be just a party, but a celebration of everything you've built together. You've invited Dr. Harrison, Miss Helen Santos, who has become a family friend, Isabella's teachers, and some of the families who have been helped by the company's social programs. But there's one special surprise you've saved for that day. Isabella, you say, pulling up a chair to sit at her level. Before the party starts, I need to give you your main present. I've already gotten so many presents this year. Isabella begins. This one is different. It's a gift you gave me, and now I'm returning. Isabella tilts her head, confused. You pull a folder of legal documents from your drawer. Remember when you asked if you could really have my last name? Isabella nods, her eyes filling with hope. These are the final papers for your adoption. You are now officially and forever Isabella Williams, my legal daughter with all the rights and privileges that means. Isabella looks at the documents as if they were treasures. Does this mean no one can say I'm not your real daughter anymore? It means even the government agrees you're my daughter. You laugh. Isabella throws herself into your arms, and you spin her in the air, both laughing with pure joy. "Now," Ruth says, wiping tears of emotion, "how about we start this party?" The mansion's garden has been transformed into a wonderland. Colorful lights hang from the trees. There's a giant table laden with sweets, and a small stage where Isabella can perform the dance she's taught everyone. Guests arrive gradually, and you watch with satisfaction as Isabella circulates among them naturally, introducing her family to everyone. She's become a confident child, sure of her place in the world, radiating the happiness she's found. Dr. Harrison approaches you with a smile. "How are you feeling?" "Never felt better in my life. Physically, yes, you're perfect, but I meant emotionally. Have you adapted to this new life?" You look around. Isabella teaching her dance to other children, Ruth chatting animatedly with the teachers, Rob playing magician for a group of little ones. "Doctor, this isn't a new life. This is my real life. That other person, obsessed with money and success, was who I thought I should be. This person here, this father, this man who learned to love, this is the real me." Miss Helen Santos joins the conversation. "James, can I ask a personal question?" "Of course. Are you sure you don't regret anything? Your life has completely changed. Less time for work, huge responsibilities, constant worries." You laugh. "Helen, are you asking if I regret discovering true love?" "When you put it like that, no, there's no possible regret. Isabella saved me as much as I saved her. Maybe more." At that moment, Isabella climbs onto the small improvised stage and asks for everyone's attention. "I want to thank everyone for coming to our family's party." She begins with the confidence of a beloved child. "A year ago, I was a lonely girl who had no one. Today, I look at you all and see I have a huge family." Applause echoes through the garden. "I want to especially thank my daddy, who taught me that love doesn't need an explanation. It just needs a heart. Aunt Ruth, who taught me that family can grow when we least expect it. And Uncle Rob, who taught me that even grumpy people can become sweet when they find the right love." Rob discreetly wipes away tears. "And I want to thank my grandma, who, even though she's in heaven, still takes care of all of us. She's the one who sent my daddy to find me that day." Isabella pauses for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "I've learned many important things this year. I learned that family isn't who has the same blood, it's who has the same love. I learned that miracles happen when we truly believe. And I learned that sometimes we need to lose everything to find what really matters." You feel tears stream down your face. Your 8-year-old daughter has summarized the wisdom of a lifetime. "Now," Isabella continues, "I want everyone to dance with me, because today is a day to celebrate love." The music starts, and the garden fills with laughter, dancing, and pure joy. You dance with Isabella, then with Ruth, then with all the children present. Rob, who has never been one for public displays of affection, carries Isabella on his shoulders for an entire song. When the party ends and the last guests have left, the family gathers in the living room, exhausted but happy. "That was the best party of my life," Isabella sighs, snuggled on the sofa between you and Ruth. "It was the first real party of my life," you say. "I'd never celebrated anything that truly mattered." Rob sits in the armchair beside you. "You know what's most incredible about all this? A year ago, I thought you were both crazy. Today, I can't imagine our family without Isabella." Isabella smiles sleepily. "Uncle Rob, do you want to know a secret?" "Sure. I always knew you were going to love me. I was just waiting for you to figure it out yourself." Rob laughs, shaking his head. "How did you know?" "Because people with good hearts always end up loving. Sometimes it just takes them a little while to remember they have good hearts." Ruth kisses Isabella's head. "My wise little girl." You look at your family, feeling deep and complete peace. You found not only a daughter but a purpose, a reason to live, a love that has literally saved your life. "Isabella," you say softly. "Yes, Daddy?" "Thank you for finding me on that street." Isabella smiles, her eyes already closing with sleep. "Thank you for being there waiting when I needed you." When Isabella falls asleep on the sofa, you carry her to her room, followed by Ruth and Rob. You stand for a few minutes watching her, sleep each lost in your own thoughts about the extraordinary journey you've shared. She changed all of us, Ruth whispers. Taught us what really matters. Rob agrees. You nod, adjusting the blanket over Isabella. She taught us that miracles exist and that the greatest of them is love. 2 years after that encounter that changed 2 lives forever, you're sitting on the same park bench where you took Isabella on your first day together. But this time, you're not alone, and you're definitely not dying. Isabella, now 9 years old, runs through the park with the inexhaustible energy of childhood, chasing butterflies and inventing games. Her hair flies in the wind, and her laughter echoes like music through the gardens. You watch her with the same wonder you've felt since the first day, as if you still can't quite believe this extraordinary child is your daughter. Daddy! Isabella runs to you, breathless from playing. Did you see how fast I ran? It felt like I was flying. I did. You really did look like you were flying. Isabella sits beside you on the bench, rests her head on your shoulder, and you sit in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching other families in the park. It's a ritual you've developed, these quiet moments where you simply enjoy being together. Daddy, Isabella says thoughtfully, do you remember what it was like before you met me? You smile. Isabella asks these philosophical questions regularly now, always curious about the past and future of your little family. I do. It was very different. Different how? You choose your words carefully. I thought I knew what was important in life, but I was completely wrong. I thought money and success were all that mattered, and now you know they're not. Now I know the only thing that truly matters is love, family, people who care about each other. Isabella nods wisely. My teacher said that sometimes people need to lose things to find better things. Your teacher is very wise, and so are you. Isabella smiles, pleased with the compliment. Daddy, can I tell you something? Always. Sometimes, I get sad when I think about Grandma and the people I lost, but then I remember that if I hadn't lost them, I never would have found you. You feel that familiar emotion tighten your chest. And how do you feel thinking about that? I think everything happens for a reason. Grandma always said, God has a plan for everyone, and sometimes the plan includes sad things to get to the happy things. You who have learned to respect Isabella's unwavering faith even without fully sharing it, nod. Do you think our meeting was part of a plan? I'm sure of it. You needed to learn how to be a dad, and I needed to learn how to be a daughter. And we both needed to learn that family is stronger than any illness. The profound simplicity of Isabella's observations still surprises you regularly. She's grown up maintaining her natural sweetness and wisdom while gaining confidence and joy that makes her a special child. Isabella, you say, there's something I never told you about that first day we met. Isabella turns to you, interested. What? When I left the hospital that day, I was thinking that maybe it would be better to give up on everything. I was very sad and very scared. And then you saw me, and then I saw you, and for the first time in a long time I felt that maybe there was still something good in the world. Isabella takes your hand. And there was. There was me waiting for you. You laugh, kissing your daughter's forehead. There was you waiting for me. You sit on the bench for a few more minutes watching the park's activity. You reflect on how completely your life has transformed. The company thrives under your new humanized philosophy. Ruth has moved in permanently and become the grandmother Isabella never had, full of stories, care, and unconditional love. Prebe visits almost daily, has become the favorite uncle, and has even started dating one of Isabella's teachers, a change everyone attributes to the girl's loving influence. And you've discovered that being a father is simultaneously the scariest and most rewarding thing you've ever done. Every day brings new challenges, from helping with homework to explaining why some people are mean, from dealing with nightmares to teaching about values and choices. But every day also brings indescribable joys. Isabella's morning smile, her school stories, her spontaneous hugs, her contagious laughter. Daddy, Isabella interrupts your thoughts. Yes, sweetheart? When I grow up and get married and have kids, will they call you Grandpa? You laugh at the premature question. They will, and I'll be Grandpa. And will you tell them how you found me? I'll tell them our whole story. How a sad man found a brave little girl, and how together they created a family full of love. Isabella jumps off the bench, energized by the idea. And I'll teach my kids that love is the strongest medicine in the world. You will. Isabella starts running again but stops and runs back to you. I forgot something important. What? Isabella hugs you tightly and whispers in your ear, I love you, Daddy, forever and ever. You hug her back, feeling that immense gratitude that accompanies you every day. I love you too, Isabella, forever and ever. When you finally return home, you find Ruth preparing dinner and Rob helping set the table, scenes that have become delightfully routine. Isabella runs to tell them about her adventures in the park, and you watch your family gathered, still sometimes incredulous at the abundance of happiness you've found. During dinner, Isabella makes an announcement. Tomorrow I'm going to present my essay about family to the whole school. What essay? Ruth asks. I wrote about how families can be born in different ways, how sometimes God brings together people who need each other. Rob smiles. And what did you write about our family? Isabella grows serious for a moment, gathering her thoughts. I wrote that our family started with a simple question. Would you like to be my daughter? And that question changed 4 lives forever. You feel tears form. 4 lives? Mine, yours, Aunt Ruth's and Uncle Rob's, because when you adopted me, we all became family. Ruth discreetly wipes her eyes. And how does your essay end? Isabella smiles. It ends by saying that true love can heal anything. Broken hearts, serious illnesses, and even people who have forgotten how to be happy. That night, after Isabella falls asleep, you spend some time in her room watching her sleep. You do this almost every night, still marveling at the miracle that is your life. The girl you found crying on the street is now a confident, intelligent child, full of love and wisdom. She has friends at school, excellent grades, and most importantly, the unwavering security of being deeply loved. And you, the man who should have died alone and bitter, have discovered that life is worth living when you have something, someone, to live for. You've learned that true success isn't measured in money but in smiles, hugs, moments of shared joy. You've discovered that having a family means having a treasure more valuable than any fortune. You kiss Isabella's sleeping forehead and whisper, "Thank you for saving me, my daughter." Isabella stirs slightly in her sleep and murmurs, "Thank you for finding me, Daddy." You smile and leave the room, knowing that tomorrow you'll wake up to another day of adventures, laughter, challenges, and joys alongside the best thing that ever happened to you. Outside, the stars shine over the mansion that has become a true home. And somewhere you'd like to imagine, a grandmother in heaven smiles, seeing that her granddaughter is exactly where she was meant to be, surrounded by love, safe in a family that chose her and will continue to choose her every day. The story began with an end, a terminal diagnosis, but transformed into the most beautiful of beginnings. The birth of a family united by the kind of love that can truly move mountains, heal hearts, and create miracles. Because sometimes the best stories begin exactly when we think everything is ending. And sometimes finding a family is as simple as asking a question. Would you like to be my daughter? The end, a story about love, family, second chances, and the miracles that happen when we open our hearts to those who need us most.